So Sofiane is going to be our keynote speaker. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's managed 3 fintechs and was a partner in an investment bank and partner in 2 VC funds. He's managed 2 exits and is also a business angel in tech sectors with investments made in different countries. Sofiane is a mentor in several incubators, iBoost, Ryerson, mentor in BMZ, joint venture between Ryerson and St. Michael's Hospital. He's an advisor in the Holt Accelerator, a fintech accelerator in Montreal, mentor in Start GBC, George Brown. He raised during his career nearly 200 million. Sofiane has the experience of creating and developing an entrepreneurial project with 0 budget until the realization of several millions of revenue, and also as a TEDx speaker. So we welcome today Sofiane. You're good to go.
Amazing. Thanks a lot. Impressive network you have here, Jeffrey. Very cool job. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, speak a little bit, even a short period of time, 7 minutes is that, right? Discuss about this topic of funding, especially during this period. Yeah, I mean, let's jump on it. It's certainly a crazy and difficult time that we are living now. Never lived before, and I can understand how difficult it can be for businesses who are looking to raise, and how short they can be, especially the fact that you run first a business to make revenue from your clients because you solve their problems. And problem is now the system is in a certain way blocking or slowing down tremendously. So people are reducing their revenue or sometimes stopping literally making money. So a lot of businesses who are looking, for example, to raise funds within end of the year, September, October, wherever, they advance their projects and they're looking now to raise just to bridge or to make a project, finalize their project earlier than expected because they're still not making revenue with the COVID, the problem. So, and I see it personally on I saw the change on my investment daily routine. I never saw this before. I receive probably between 40 to 50 decks a day on LinkedIn. We're going to talk about it, which is definitely not a good solution to do, but I can see how the panic is around this. If you speak about the topic of how, to raise when you're not COVID friendly, or I don't know if this word exists, but at least during these times, how you manage your process and your operation. There's three categories of investors out there. And it's not easy to find the statistics because some countries manage to do a survey to their community of investors to see, but at least we have some numbers, highlight numbers about that. So there's investors who are still investing as usual. Nothing changed for them. They still manage the same way they do it before this. Obviously, this number is getting low. For many obvious reasons that I spoke about. The 2 others are investors who are first only focused on their own portfolio, the businesses where they invest in the past. And the other category is investors who are investing in their own portfolio mainly, and a few percent is dedicated to new deals. So if you take this overall picture, the number of investors who are as usual are low. The number of investors who are investing in new deals in addition of supporting their own portfolio is also here, but low. So the number of money available out there is very limited. But still, millions of businesses out there looking to raise funds. And I say millions, like I say hundreds of millions. Why? Because actually the playground has became really big because, a lot of, in the mindset of businesses is, I live in Toronto. I'm French background, but you can understand what I'm thinking about. Businesses, I'm in Toronto, so I can basically access some investors that are in the U.S., like different hubs, Boston, New York, and Silicon Valley. I can access to investors in Toronto, etc., and that's it. Which is a mistake because you can. I know some friends, for example, running very good businesses in startups in France. Recently, they raised money from a Singapore fund. I know a guy from Africa, running a fintech from Africa, raised funds from the US. basically you're going to compete with other businesses that are literally from different countries that are completely different from the culture, from the mindset, wherever, but they're still running a business that is successful, clients, streamlined process, making revenue, and they can get the money from the same investors that you are chasing that are literally close by you. So I'm saying by this is it's the same for you. You can reach out the money in other parts. So the problem is that, and I'm going to be a little bit I'm not bullshit guy, and in this case, and I think something it's important to say. I'm always angry and a little bit upset about the fact that businesses, for example, who are looking to raise funds, the process they do to raise funds is absolutely not efficient, and it's absolutely counterproductive, because in my case, for example, if you send me 50 or 40 decks a day on LinkedIn, I would never read them. First, because I don't have the time, and the second thing is it's not absolutely not the way I will filter the deals, and I look to the deals to invest them. So if there is not a strong introduction, or at least you know me, or you know my investment criteria, etc., there's no way you can send me if we don't know each other. So this is a point that is very important to say. So don't lose the time for that. Why? Because if you come back to the statistics that I told you about the business investors who are still, as usual, and investors who are still investing in new deals in addition of their portfolio, this number is very low. It means that the attention they have is very limited. So if you have like a playground, a bigger playground, a limited attention, limited amount of money, and you want to still invest in new deals, you really have to convince investors. When I say about convincing investors is, and I'm always amazed by seeing the limited investment, probably not the right word, but investment in entrepreneurs and doing it themselves to reach to investors. It's like the norm now, and I think there's also a mistake to the community of investment, is that it became something easy. It's like we create a company to raise funds. It's like we saw so many media stuff about businesses raising, et cetera, making this. So it becomes really easy in the mindset of entrepreneurs to get the money. So then what they do is I draft very quickly a deck and I throw it by email to thousands of people and see. It's like fishing. It's a mistake. And it's not how you run a business. You should convince and reach to investors the same way you run a business to convince a customer. You need really to understand what's his need, what's his thinking, and what's the problem that you are solving in related to the problem he has that you are really solving. For the investor, is the same thing. The fact that businesses still raising funds the same old way, it's not working anymore for me. It's like it was tough back in a normal days. Now it's more and more difficult. So I don't understand why businesses, for example, they're still sending a PDF, why they can do a video. Like if I send now a deck to an investor, whatever the name, I'm sure in the same day, this investor will receive tens or probably hundreds of other deals at the same time. So you need to make yourself, to invest in yourself and show to others that it's worth, discussing with you compared to others, because you did the work. You invest you hired someone or wherever, or you invest by doing a video that highlights, for example, your team, your traction, get some testimonials from clients, show the technology, some demo, etc. Something at least where businesses can say, wow, it's not common actually. So this is one point that I wanted to talk about. And if businesses are still acting the same way, they will have delays and not only delays, nothing will happen from them. So I discussed last time with a friend investor who said, like, now his focus is on businesses that are what we say COVID friendly. It means that during this period they work very well. I mean, there's a lot of customers, some digital worlds where businesses are still doing very, very well. Or businesses that after this difficult times will recover and will boost very, very quickly. So I think it's interesting. My point of view in this is it's not a question if you are COVID friendly or if you are you can recover very quickly, or your business can be very, very interesting after the end of this. I think the way you have to think and you have to approach this is how are you willing to adapt your process to the situation? Is the adaptability that is very interesting. I saw, some businesses that are remarkably, adapting. Last time I wrote an article about restaurants who, having like, for example, restaurants who are having a parking nearby them, and no one is going there because no one can access to this. They transform the parking into a drive, a cinema drive, with the car. So it's like basically they reverse a couple of things where you go, you can order, you stay in your car, and there's a big screen where you can watch. It's one of the examples, but it's here when you see people how become, you become, smart when you're in a difficult situation or when you can adapt. The second thing is you have to show also that you were able to change the process of your company. I think it's something that you should have done earlier, of course, but let's pass and see that we didn't do it. So now the fact is how you can manage the process. And last time I was discussing with the company that I really like, and we are about to invest. And he said something that I really, really admire is he said, I stopped operating my business, and I stopped for 2 weeks, and I studied point by point every division of my process, every division of my value chain. And I asked myself every time, 1,000 times, how can I improve it? Or how can I reduce the cost of it? Or how can I outsource it? And how can I get rid of it, but at the same time improve my business? And he came out with something really, really powerful, because at the end of the day, even in a short period of time, he was able to reduce the cost by almost 25%, and staying in the same process. What I'm saying by this is the things that really attract the attention of investors, because there's a game now. There's a game of competition. There's a game of limited resources, the same number of businesses, and also don't forget that there's new businesses that are created every day. So this is my opinion about this situation. Is first invest in yourself. When I mean invest in yourself, it doesn't mean that you have to write a 10,000 check to do a media for that. There's so many ways you can do things differently and less expensive or free to show that you are willing to attract the attention and stand above the crowd. The first thing. The second thing is really how you can adapt to this situation. It's like how we can create a new services to answer to this problem. I heard a lot of people saying that when there's a difficult time, there's always businesses, that some businesses that are doing well on new projects. It is true actually, because if you study the situation, when the situation is blocking, there is still consumption, there is still people paying for a service. So what are the way you can attract, your service that you are already doing, how you can adapt it to this situation. And the last one is how you can streamline the process, make your operation completely fluid, and reduce the cost a maximum to show that, because there's one point that I forget. Wherever is the business investors that are investing as usual, or investors who are, dedicating a small portion of their fund to new deals, most of them, they will certainly, if you are looking to raise 1 million and they were supposed to invest 1 million in the past as their investment criteria, they will certainly come back to you and say, you know what, you will have to do what you said you will do with half the amount of money. So, at the end of the day, the third point about, managing and studying and analyzing your different process to make them efficient and less expensive and reduce the different costs of that is something that is more than just, the way you have to operate your business classically. Investors will not leave you the choice. Like, they will have to make the decision of investing less. I don't know if I still have time, Jeffrey, or if you have any questions or you want me to ask.
No, that was great. Thank you, Sofiane. I did want to ask you one piece, which was related to the don't fish part. So in business, when you're approaching and doing sales yourself into a company, you usually are really refined on that process. Who am I going after? And then you network like crazy to get in front of that person. So when you're getting the 40 or 50 decks a day on LinkedIn, and you're not looking at these, what do you recommend people start to shift to? Like, where do you think the best value is for you? Because as you and other investors are also getting a lot of deal flow, because a lot of startups are now looking quickly and they're just spray and pray. What do you recommend are a few things that startups could look for in an investor to attract them so they'll want to actually read their email? What should they do?
Sure. So what I can recommend is to go and do some research. And we are fortunate to have internet now and so many data that is accessible out there. It's very easy. If you are, for example, in a healthcare and you want to invest, you want to raise funds in this sector, go and find. And I invest, for example, in a company in the healthcare last time is a good example. The thing is, what I did is I just did the job for those businesses. I say, you know what, you're looking to raise a new round. So I said, give me 2-3 days. And I went on the internet and I found all the investors that are active in this space, in healthcare. And in this, I mean, it's quite easy to find, and it's not that complex. And we are fortunate to have like so many tools like Crunchbase or whatever. They're not that expensive. I think it's $20 a month or something, whatever. And in this list, big list that I found, I just detail what are the investors that are exactly interested in this sector of activity, because they can be generalistic, wherever, but they are very, very specific and robust. So, and I found some of them. They invested, and it's interesting. I found something interesting is those investors invested like literally 4 weeks ago in a company that doesn't do the same thing, but the same support, the same help for the workers in hospitals. So what I said to people, I said, look, here you have 5-6 names of investors who are active in this space. Here's the article about them on the internet. So what you have to do is first, you will take this article and you have to share it on the social media, because at least you show that you're doing your homework. Wait a couple of days and use this, because every time you share an article on the social media, you will have interaction, you will have views, you will have likes, you will have comments, etc. Wait a couple of days and use the link of this article that you shared on social media and send an email to every principal or partner in this VC fund by saying that you came across this article and you share it on social media because you feel that's very, very interesting what this investor is doing in this space by supporting this company, and all the businesses they support, you can see on their tombstone sometimes some exits that made in the past, and say, it's amazing what you're doing. I would love, by the way, to discuss about my business. I'm not looking to raise right now, but I wanted to share with you what we're doing. So basically what you're doing is you're showing that you first did your homework. And it doesn't mean that you need like thousands of dollars to do something like this. Just a couple of times, you can take a couple of times in the morning, in the lunchtime, on the night, and you find that scratch and you can find them. The second thing is you show that you get really, you are promoting what these investors are doing, because by sharing this article. And the second thing is you came back not by asking direct point about this fundraising, but ask them if you're looking for feedback. And if you do what I said about doing a video, for example, about your network, you can send it, and then people will always take the time to watch a 5-minute video than reading a 20-page. No one likes reading 20-page PDF, and especially if it's X times, 10 of 20 or 30 times.
No, that's great advice, and I think that just goes for anything on the sales front, that if you can find little ways to get people interested by doing the homework on who they are, then when you do reach out to them, they'll be more compelled to want to talk with you and learn more about you and your business, because you've isolated it down to little pieces that are manageable for them. You show interest in them, they'll start to show interest in you as well, especially if this fits into their portfolio of types of companies that would interest them, and that they can support you as well. So with that, thank you very much, Sofiane. That was fantastic.